Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see about Pudiya Karkalam, that is New Stone Age. In the previous video, we saw about Old Stone Age. Now we are going to see about New Stone Age. In New Stone Age, the people had developed a lot and they actually used the same stone weapons which the Old Stone Age people used. But these weapons were even more far better because they were more sharp and they were very shiny. And here also we find that in their physical appearance also there were many changes, like the in the Old Stone Age the human being's body, if you see, means it was fully covered with hair, but here it was not like that. And even the face had become more soft and more applicable, and they had long hair and they even grew long beards, and this was the physical appearance of the New Stone Age man. And in Dharmapuri, Palakkod, Arur, Pappirettippatti and Ponnagaram, these were the places where these New Stone Age people lived. And Pinganahalli and all those places, we find the utensils made out of stones which were used by these people. And in the basement of Vattal Malai, we find this stone axes and other instruments and weapons which these people used. And in Vada Arcade, Ten Arcades district, all we find certain utensils which were made out of stones used by the New Stone Age people. And in Arikamedu, Salem, Tiruchi, Madurai, Tirunelveli, Thuthukudi districts, we find many places where these people have lived, because we are able to identify certain things which say that these people have lived here. And because of their experiences and what had already been in the Old Stone Age, these people were continuing. And one such thing is they started training the animals. They started domesticating the animals and using them for their own use. And because they were domesticating these animals, they needed graze lands for these animals. They had to give food for the animals, and to graze these animals they used the forest. And that is why these people earlier in Old Stone Age, the people were moving from one place to another. They were like nomads, but these people stayed in Kurunchi and Mullai areas itself because they have to graze the animals. And the vessels and the utensils and the weapons which these people used also were more refined, and they started making stone pillars, and they made instruments using bones of animals, and they made even stone axes and small stones, and even axes which had both the sides we can utilize it. And they also took this stones, small colorful stones and pebbles from the river, and they made marbles and thayams using that. And by the end of this New Stone Age, we find that they were not only growing uh, uh, all these plants using agriculture, but whatever grains they grew, they were making them into powder, or they were breaking them into small pieces. And in order to make the grains, the powder of the grains, they have started using ammi, kulavi, tirukkai and karchatti. And through that, the grains which they grew, they were able to utilize it in many forms itself. And they did not know how to use animals to domesticated animals to use for agriculture. So what they did is, in order to refine the soil in which they are growing these plants and grains, they used this hand axes and udu kalapai, which they used it and they made the sand, refined the sand. They used it so that it will be easy for the plants to grow. And even for hunting, they used kavan, vil, mankombu, matukombu, and valaitade. And this they used even during the wars which they had between two clans, that is two groups. And if you see the professions which they had, is they were making objects out of wood and stones. So this was their profession. And they started making dresses using the skin of the animals. So this also became their profession. And they understood these dogs were very useful for hunting. So whenever they went for hunting, they trained the dogs and utilized them for hunting. And they also found out that what food they got from the hunt was not enough for them, because the population was many. And so they started growing crops, but they thought that if they concentrate more on agriculture, they will be able to get more food for themselves. So they concentrated a lot in agriculture. And because of all these changes, what happened is, they had to stay there itself, because they have to grow crops at the same time. They have to even graze the animals. And that time they did not know how to use animals for agriculture. So uh, they were refining the soil only using the weapons or the stone instruments which they already had. And this was called as kuttu. That is because they used to plunder the soil with their hand itself. And small forest and even large forest all were burnt down, because they needed land to grow crops. And that name was called as kollai, or it was called as kaatterippu velanmai. Kaatterippu means burning of forest. So since they were burning the forest and creating land for agriculture, they called it as kaatterippu velanmai. Velanmai means agriculture. And according to the seasonal changes, they were growing crops. That is, one time they will grow root crops, another time another crop, like that they were changing. And this is called as crop rotation, that is பயிர் மாற்று வேளாண்மை. And because of that, they really developed agriculture to a lot of to a great extent. And earlier they were living in Kurunchi and then Mullai. Now they started irrigating the land, that is using water for agriculture, and therefore we have Marudanilam, that is a third type of land was formed. And if you see their houses, in old stone age they were living in the caves in the mountains, or they were living in the base of the mountains. And they were not staying in one place. But this new stone age people, because they were doing agriculture and they were growing animals, and they were harvesting crops, they had to protect all these grains which they have harvested. So they had to stay in one place. And therefore they made that is in the base of the mountain itself, they made small houses in which they lived. And as the population increased, they had to increase the production of the crops also. And when the production of the crops was increased, like after harvesting, they had to safeguard the produce of the crops. So they all had to stay together. And as they were staying together, we find that small villages and towns were also formed. Actually, in those times, it was only small villages. And according to the availability of land, that is, they did not want to disturb the trees. So in between the trees and the free space, they built houses either square shaped or in rectangular shape. And the roof was made out of grass. They brought even sticks, and on top of they used the sticks as the corner of the houses. And they used whatever was available, like small bamboo and all that, for roof. And on top of it they applied ash and soil. And sometimes they mixed stone and sand, and they made as walls. And around that walls, on top of the walls, they applied sand, or they applied clay, which made the walls more softer. And in the floor they made square stones, that which they got, they put it in for the flooring. And to avoid water, that is rainwater, entering into the house, they made a big pot, and that they covered the roof. And that type of pots can be even now seen on the all the temples, which is called as kalasam, because that was the way they had built their earlier huts. So when later on, when temples came into use, same type was kept as kalasam in temple. And communication language was natural language and artificial language. That is, if particular word is pinpointing to a particular feeling or to a particular place or thing or a person, it is called a suttu sorkal. And artificial language came later. And earlier people only used limited words to express their thoughts and ideas. And therefore, if you see, we have many words were formed during this New Stone Age. And in Kumari continent only, particularly in this Kurunji land only, Tamil was formed. And from this Kurunji land, because the people started living in Mullai and Marudam, Tamil also started spreading to Mullai and Marudam. And according to those land and what was found in that land, new words were born. And when we see this artificial language, we find there are four types of that. That is Asainilai, Punarnilai, Kulugunilai and Pagusol. That is Asainilai means only one word. No other word will come along with it. And usually it will be even one letter word. And it will express the meaning what it has to say. Example A, Ul, Pal, Ya, Un. And Punarnilai means two words will join together and it will form one word. Example, Peru plus Magan, Perumagan, Sei plus Kai, Seigai. And Kulugunilai means one full word and along with it we will have Urupu Solgal and together it will come as one word like Varu plus Uttu plus E is Varutuvi. And Pagusol means there will be two words which will join together, merge and form one word. That is Pomman, Perumagan, that is Pran. And during this Asainilai time itself, we realize that the ancestors of Chinese and Sindhi people should have been here because in the beginning, even Sumerian ancestors all should have been in this Kumari Nadu. That is, we understand there was a Kumari continent here. And later on only these Chinese and Sumerians and Sindhis should have got separated and they should have gone to the other part, because from the language, that is those people who are studying, doing research in language, they can find a lot of similarities in all these languages, and therefore they feel that the ancestors of all these people should have lived together in the Kumari continent, and later on they should have spread out and then their own languages would have formed. This is what we know about the New Stone Age people. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.